58% of working Americans believe they will outlive their retirement savings, according to a Goldman Sachs asset management survey. So if you have ever stared at your retirement account balance with a quiet dread, you are sharing that feeling with most of the country right now. But here is what almost nobody is telling you. The benchmark you are measuring yourself against, that famous $1 million finish line, is almost certainly the wrong number for your actual life. Quick note before we dig in. This is general education, not personalized advice for your specific situation. If you are someone in your 50s or 60s looking at your account balance and wondering whether you have done enough, this video is built for you. Because in the next few minutes, I am going to show you what real Americans actually have, where the famous $1 million target came from, and the one math problem that, when you actually run it, makes the entire question feel different. So let's start where the fear lives. That 58% number from Goldman Sachs is not a statistical curiosity. It is a behavior driver. When most working Americans believe they will run out of money, they oversave, they underspend, they delay joy, and they stay at jobs that drain them for years longer than they need to. The fear is real. The question is whether it is calibrated to reality or to a marketing number. Here is where the marketing number comes from. The $1 million retirement target is a media-driven rule of thumb. It is not a data-driven threshold pulled from any government study, and the data that actually exists tells a very different story. According to Federal Reserve analysis, only about 3.2 to 4.7% of retirees have $1 million or more in their retirement accounts. Just take a look at that range for a moment. Even at the high end, fewer than 1 in 20 retirees has hit the headline number. And as of 2025 and 2026, only about 5 to 10% of all U.S. households have $1 million or more in liquid financial assets outside of their primary residence. Now you might be thinking, but I have seen those Empower platform numbers. As of March 31st, 2026, Empower's personal dashboard data showed that 21.9% of users on the platform had $1 million or more saved. That sounds like the picture is rosier than I am making it. Here is the catch. Empower's user base is self-selected. People who sign up for a wealth dashboard tend to be the people who already have wealth to track. That number reflects who uses the tool, not who lives in America. So if the $1 million figure is so far above what most retirees actually have, why does it persist? Because of one number that does check out? According to 2024 data analyzed from the U.S. Census Bureau, the threshold for the top 10% of U.S. households by net worth is roughly $1.8 million. So $1 million genuinely puts you near the top of the distribution. The question is whether you actually need to be in the top 10% to retire well, and the data says you do not. You might be thinking, what if $1 million is not enough? For some people, especially younger retirees, those in expensive coastal cities, or those facing serious long-term care costs, $1 million may genuinely fall short. That is exactly why a fixed number is the wrong target. Your number depends on your life, not on a headline. Now picture this. You are 48 years old, you have been saving for 2 decades, your account balance is about $180,000, and every financial article you read tells you that you are $600,000 behind. That gap feels crushing, but the gap is comparing you to a benchmark almost nobody actually reaches. Let's zoom out because retirement accounts are only part of the picture. According to the Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances, which is the most comprehensive survey of household finances in the country, the median household net worth for Americans aged 55 to 64 is $364,500. For ages 65 to 74, it climbs to $409,900. And for households aged 75 and older, it is $335,600. You might notice that net worth peaks in the 65 to 74 range and then declines. That decline is not failure. That is retirement working as designed. You are supposed to spend down assets in your later years. The whole point of saving was to use the money. So when you see that age 75 number drop, what you are seeing is a generation actually living off what they built. Now you might be thinking, but I have heard that around 50% of households have nothing in formal retirement accounts. That is true. As of March 2025, about half of American households have no retirement assets in a 401k or IRA. And an AARP survey found that 1 in 5 Americans aged 50 and over has no retirement savings at all. So is the picture catastrophic? No, because home equity, taxable brokerage accounts, pension claims, and Social Security all sit outside of formal retirement accounts. The retirement account balance is a slice of the picture. Net worth is the picture. So here's the part that confused me when I first dug into the numbers. If income solved the retirement problem, then high earners would not feel financially trapped. They feel trapped anyway. According to a Bankrate survey from August 2024, 43% of workers earning under $50,000 a year live paycheck to paycheck. That is not surprising. But here is the sentence that should stop you. According to a Goldman Sachs study from October 2025, approximately 40% of working respondents earning above $300,000 a year also live paycheck to paycheck, roughly the same percentage. 6 times the income, same financial fragility. Picture this. 2 engineers work at the same firm. One earns $65,000 a year, drives a 10-year-old car, and saves 18% of every paycheck into her 401k. The other earns $310,000 a year, drives 2 leased luxury vehicles, has a vacation home with a mortgage, and tells himself he will start saving seriously next year. After 15 years, the engineer earning a fifth as much has more in retirement assets. This is not a hypothetical. This is the pattern the data shows over and over. You might be thinking the obvious objection here, lifestyle creep is not the only reason high earners feel broke. Fixed costs like housing in expensive cities, childcare, and debt service all play roles. That is fair. But the deeper truth still holds. Income does not protect you from spending equal to or greater than that income. The only variable that builds retirement is the gap between what you earn and what you spend. Lifestyle expands to fill available income at every level. Without active discipline, the gap stays at zero no matter how much the top line grows. There is a second variable in this story that almost nobody talks about. According to data from the National Longitudinal Survey of Youth, which has tracked thousands of Americans over decades, married individuals tend to accumulate significantly more wealth than divorced or never married individuals at comparable incomes. Now, this is not a moral statement, it is a financial behavior phenomenon. When 2 people share housing costs, share insurance, pool resources, and plan together over a multi-decade horizon, the math compounds differently than it does for a single person paying for everything alone. The relationship itself does not create wealth. The financial structure that stable partnership enables does. So if the gap is the only variable that matters, what about Social Security? This is the most underestimated piece of the entire retirement picture. As of June 2025, the average monthly Social Security retirement benefit is $2,005, which works out to about $24,000 a year per individual. For a typical retired couple in early 2026, the combined annual benefit lands somewhere between $47,424 and $49,704. That is a meaningful, inflation-adjusted income floor that arrives every month for the rest of your life. And the timing of when you claim is one of the highest leverage decisions you will ever make. Your full retirement age, if you were born in 1960 or later, is 67. If you claim at 62, the government gives you only 70% of what you would have received at full retirement age. If you wait past 67, your benefit grows by 8% for every year you delay up to age 70. At 70, you receive 124% of your full retirement age benefit. For a couple, the spread between claiming at 62 versus claiming at 70 can be tens of thousands of dollars per year for the rest of both of their lives. Picture this. 2 neighbors, identical work histories, both born in 1960. One claims Social Security at 62 because he is nervous about whether the program will last. The other waits until 70. 20 years into retirement, the second neighbor is collecting roughly 77% more in monthly benefits than the first. Same earnings record, same program, different timing decision. That gap funds vacations, healthcare, and dignity in late life. Now here is the edge case where the standard wait until 70 advice falls apart. If your health is poor, if your family history points to a shorter life, or if you genuinely need the income to avoid drawing down savings during a market downturn early in retirement, claiming earlier can be the right call. The break-even point typically lands in the late 70s or early 80s. If you do not expect to reach it, the math flips. Your situation will differ. This is a starting point, not a plan. So let's run the actual math because this is where everything I have said converges into a number you can hold. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics Consumer Expenditure Survey, the average annual expenditure for households headed by someone aged 65 or older was $61,432 in 2024. That is the typical retirement budget. Now layer in the 4% withdrawal rule, which suggests you can sustainably withdraw about 4% of your retirement portfolio each year. $250,000 in savings produces $10,000 a year. Combine that with a couple's Social Security benefit of roughly $47,000 to $49,000 annually, and you are at $57,000 to $59,000 in income. Add in the fact that, according to October 2025 Census Bureau data, 64% of homeowners aged 65 and older own their homes free and clear, no mortgage payment. Suddenly that $61,400 lifestyle is within reach without a $1 million nest egg. That is not magic, that is just running the actual numbers. And it lines up with what former Social Security Administration leader Andrew Biggs has found. According to a 2026 article citing his analysis, seniors who describe themselves as living comfortably typically had between $100,000 and $249,000 in retirement savings. Not 1 million, not even close to 1 million. You might be thinking, but what about healthcare costs and inflation? Those are real. Healthcare expenses can rise faster than general inflation, and a long retirement means decades of compounding price increases. This is exactly why Social Security's annual cost of living adjustments matter so much. They protect the income floor. And it is why some people do legitimately need more cushion than the basic math suggests. The honest answer is that the right number for you depends on your health, your geography, and your spending pattern. So here is the part of the story I want you to actually feel, because it is the part most retirement videos skip. According to early 2026 research from the Center for Retirement Research at Boston College, there is a weak correlation between wealth and life satisfaction in retirement. Many retirees report high satisfaction with modest savings. The data on whether more money equals more happiness in retirement is mixed and contested, but the strongest finding is consistent. Beyond a certain reasonable threshold, the additional dollars you accumulate are not buying additional satisfaction. They are buying anxiety reduction, which is a different thing entirely. And then there is the variable nobody on Wall Street wants to talk about because it cannot be optimized in a spreadsheet. The most active, healthy years of retirement arrive earlier than most people expect. Now here is the counter thesis you should hear. Health can decline unexpectedly, and the assumption that early retirement years will always be vibrant is not guaranteed. That is true. But the broader pattern still holds for most people. The years between roughly 55 and 70 are typically the years when health, time, and money align best. Trading those years to chase a number you may not need is a real cost. Time does not compound. Time is the resource that runs out. So if you are someone in your 50s or 60s staring at an account balance, here is the screwdriver moment. Before you decide whether you have enough, do this one thing this week. Pull up the Social Security Administration's online estimator at ssa.gov and run the comparison between claiming at 62, 67, and 70 for your specific earnings record. The number you see will reframe the entire question of how much you actually need to save. Then sit down for 15 minutes and write down what a good day in retirement looks like for you. Not a number, a day. Where are you? Who are you with? What are you doing? Because once you can describe that day clearly, the savings target stops being a tyrant and starts being a tool. The real retirement question was never how much do I have? The real question is what life do I want, and where will the income come from to support it? Most Americans do not need $1 million. They need clarity about what enough actually means, a sober understanding of the Social Security floor, a paid-off home or a stable housing plan, and the discipline to protect the gap between what they earn and what they spend. Run that math, and the picture stops looking scary. Before you act on any of this, please talk to a fiduciary financial advisor or a CPA who can look at your full picture. A video like this can show you the framework. It cannot see the wrinkles in your specific situation, and those wrinkles often matter more than the headline numbers. If this changed how you think about your retirement number, the like button is how I know which videos to make next. And in the comments, tell me this. Are you the one in your 50s just starting to look at the math? The one in your 60s about to claim Social Security? Or the one already retired wondering if you can spend more freely? The next video on the screen goes deeper into the actual savings benchmarks Americans hit at each stage, and how to measure your readiness against the income you will truly need, not against an arbitrary headline figure. Click it now, because once you see what the typical numbers really are, the question of whether you are on track gets a lot easier to answer.